My mom was dying. Her last wish was to see me married. I begged my girlfriend, Khloe Vance, for 27 days before she finally agreed to go with me to get the license. I waited at City Hall until it closed, but she never showed up. That same day, Khloe's childhood best friend, Ethan Hayes, posted a picture of their marriage certificate on Instagram. The caption read, "Crazy to think it's almost been a month. 3 more days." That's when I knew the very first day I'd started begging Khloe to marry me. She had gone and married him instead. Just then, a text from Khloe buzzed on my phone. An apology. Leo, Ethan's family was pressuring him to get married. I couldn't just stand by and watch him get forced into some loveless marriage. We're getting divorced in 3 days. I promise. After that, I'll marry you. 3 days later, when Khloe showed up at City Hall in a wedding dress, all she got was a single text from me. "Khloe, we're done. Goodbye." I stood in a hospital morgue, staring at my mother's face as tears streamed down my cheeks. She had raised me all by herself, never asking for a single thing. And I couldn't even grant her this one last wish. When I first learned how sick she was, I'd asked Khloe, my girlfriend of 6 years, to marry me. I just wanted Mom to know that after she was gone, I wouldn't be alone. I begged her for 27 days. Khloe kept putting me off. Day 1, Ethan's car broke down. She had to go pick him up. Day 2, she was helping Ethan move. No time. Day 26, Ethan had a stomach bug. She had to go take care of him. If Ethan hadn't posted that picture today, I'd still be in the dark. I had invented 1,000 excuses for Khloe, but never once did it occur to me that she was already married. I knelt by my mother's bedside until evening when Khloe finally called. Her voice was as gentle as always. "It's so late. Why aren't you home yet? Where are you? I'll come get you." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Before, I would have pretended to be mad so she would coax me out of it. Then I'd have waited happily for her to pick me up. But now I couldn't manage a single kind word for her. Khloe's voice turned anxious. "Leo, where are you right now?" "The hospital." She froze, as if only just remembering that I've been taking care of my mom for weeks. "Wait for me. I'm coming to the hospital to be with you." After we hung up, I swallowed my grief and stood up to start making the arrangements for Mom's funeral. But 10 minutes later, another text arrived. "Leo, I have to help Ethan with a family dinner. I'll come see your mom next time. I promise." I wasn't surprised. For the last 2 years, the thing I'd heard most from her was, "Next time, I promise." Missed our anniversary? "I'll make it up to you next time." Bailed on visiting my mom? "Oh, I'll definitely come next time." Postponed getting our marriage license? "I'll be free tomorrow for sure." She knew I would always forgive her. That's why she could hurt me so recklessly. But this time, there would be no next time because my mom was out of next times and I was done forgiving her. I didn't go home that night. I stayed at the hospital. Khloe sent a barrage of texts and called me countless times. I didn't look at them. I didn't answer. The next morning, I went to the office early to prepare my resignation paperwork. Khloe was the founder of the company. I was just a designer. I had been with her since she had nothing, helping her build her dream from the ground up. But now, my position in the company had become insignificant. If I disappeared, Khloe wouldn't even notice. Just as I was printing my 2 weeks' notice, Khloe appeared behind me. Under her gaze, I calmly collected the paper from the printer. She looked at me, her tone soft. "All done printing?" "Yeah." She didn't seem to register my coldness. She cleared her throat. "Leo, can you come to my office for a minute?" The moment I was called away, the office erupted in whispers. "Did you guys hear Vance is married for real? No wonder her. And Leo never went public. Always so secretive. Turns out he's the other man. And Leo always went on about how much he hates cheaters. What a hypocrite. My own father had abandoned my mother and me for another woman, leaving us to struggle for half our lives. And now, thanks to Khloe, I was being called the other man. In her office, Khloe tried to hug me. I took a step back. "Khloe, this is the office." She frowned. "Don't be mad. How about I go with you to see your mom tonight?" I shook my head. "There's no need. My mom is dead, and besides, I never want her to see you again. If she knew people were calling me the other man because of you, she'd be furious with me." Khloe seemed to sense something was wrong. After a moment of silence, she said, "There are only 2 days left until Ethan and I can get a divorce. then we can get our license. She handed me a gift box. This is a high-end wellness basket I got for your mom. It's full of rare ginseng to help her get her strength back. I stared at the basket, a little stunned. Her gesture was far too late. My mom didn't need it anymore. Seeing my silence, a flicker of anxiety crossed Khloe's face. She was about to speak when her phone rang, a sharp, urgent ringtone that shattered the moment. She glanced at her phone, then at me, hesitated for a second, and walked out of the office. I knew it was Ethan. He was, after all, her legal husband. My heart felt nothing. I didn't care anymore. After she left, I submitted my resignation. The VP of HR, a man named Mr. Peterson, seemed to have been expecting it. Leo, I'm sure Khloe will make sure you're well taken care of. I bit my lip, the absurdity of it all hitting me. It seemed everyone in the company saw me as Khloe's kept man, a piece of arm candy she supported. They assumed she had everything planned out for me, but no one believed I was her actual boyfriend, the one whose heart she had just shattered. As I was leaving the company for the last time, I ran into Khloe and Ethan by the elevators. Seeing me, Khloe's eyes darted around nervously. She instinctively started to explain, "Don't get the wrong idea. I brought Ethan here." Before she could finish, Ethan wrapped his arm around her shoulder to tour my wife's company. I said nothing. Ethan spoke again, a smug, challenging look on his face. "You don't mind, do you, Leo?" I silently stepped out of the elevator to let them pass. Khloe looked at me, her eyes filled with hesitation, but Ethan pulled her away before she could say a word. That afternoon at the crematorium, I watched as my mother was turned to ash. I placed her urn in a niche at the memorial park and stayed until nightfall. Khloe never showed up, not even a text. I didn't care. Without her distractions, my mother could rest in peace. I knew my mom's spirit wouldn't want me entangled with her anymore. She certainly wouldn't want to see me marry her now. Our 6-year relationship was finally completely over. I walked home from the cemetery. I hadn't walked alone at night in a long time. It used to be my mom holding my hand. There was Khloe on my arm. From now on, I would walk alone. I'll get used to it, I told myself. It was after midnight when I finally got back to my apartment. The living room light was on. Khloe was on the sofa, typing on her phone. When I walked in, the frown on her face smoothed out. She rushed over and tried to grab my hand. "Where have you been? You weren't answering your phone or texts." "I was about to call the police." "You know that." I flinched, pulling my hand from her grasp. "I was with my mom. I didn't want her to be disturbed." At the mention of my mom, Khloe remembered what she'd said earlier, and a look of guilt crossed her face. Then her expression shifted to one of hopeful anticipation as she solemnly pulled a small box from her pocket and handed it to me. I took it automatically. Inside was a pair of wedding rings. I froze. I remembered a time when Khloe had grabbed my hands, her eyes shining with promise, vowing that we'd put these rings on together, hold our marriage certificate, and show my mom how happy we were. I had waited for that day, dreamed of it more times than I could count. But that was before I closed the box and handed it back. Khloe's brow furrowed slightly. She seemed to realize something and said a little awkwardly, "It's after midnight now. Just one more day, and I'll be divorced from Ethan." "I haven't forgotten my promise," she insisted. "Tomorrow we'll exchange our rings, and then we'll go get our license." Her words held no magic for me anymore. I just said matter-of-factly, "Okay, got it. I'm a little tired. I'm going to bed." The smile on Khloe's face froze. For the first time, she sensed my detachment. A flash of panic crossed her eyes, and she reached for my hand again. Just then, Ethan walked out of my bedroom, wearing my pajamas. He blinked sleepily at me, then moved to wrap an arm around Khloe's shoulders, whining like a child. "Khloe, Leo's back now. Come on, let's get washed up and go to sleep." Khloe's head snapped toward me, her eyes wide with panic. Ethan had a fight with his family. I told him he could crash in the guest room for one night. She stared at me, desperate for me to believe her, terrified I'd misunderstand. I just nodded, my voice devoid of emotion. "It's fine. I can stay at my mom's old place for the night." Khloe stood there, stunned, as if she couldn't believe I'd agree so easily. But Ethan didn't give me a chance to change my mind, flashing a triumphant grin before disappearing back into the bedroom. As I was leaving with a small duffel bag, Khloe was still standing in the living room. Her lips were pressed into a thin line, her hand clutching mine, refusing to let go. The guilt in her eyes deepened. Finally, spurred by another call from Ethan inside the room, she spoke. "Tomorrow," she said, her voice tight, "after we get the license, we'll go see your mom together." The next morning, I packed the last of my things and went back to the office for my final handover. The moment I stepped inside, my coworkers stared at me with strange expressions. When I walked past, they whispered behind my back, pointing. It wasn't until I saw Ethan Hayes sitting at my desk that I understood the bizarre atmosphere. Everyone was pretending to stare at their monitors, but their eyes kept darting toward the drama unfolding. Seeing me, Ethan looked up, his expression smug and arrogant. "I'm starting today. I want this desk. You can go somewhere else." I looked at him and nodded calmly. "Okay, I'll just get my things." Our exchange was quiet, but seeing my passive response, my colleagues assumed I was intimidated. The guilty party facing the rightful husband. With both of us present, no one dared say anything out loud. They just typed furiously on their keyboards, their contempt for me palpable. I wanted to set the record straight, but I didn't know how to begin. After all, Ethan was legally Khloe's husband. Anything I said would just be humiliating myself. As I finished packing my box and turned to leave, Khloe walked over. Seeing a box in my arms, her face tightened. "Where are you going?" Ethan cut me off, making room for me. I liked the spot. As I started to walk away, Khloe grabbed my arm. "No, this is your desk. No one can." I cut her off. "If he likes it, he can have it." After all, I had already quit. It didn't matter to me who sat there. Khloe froze, a dark, unreadable expression on her face. She only snapped out of it when my back had disappeared from view. She whirled around, shoved Ethan, who was humming and arranging things on the desk, and slapped him hard across the face in front of everyone. "Did our fake marriage give you the wrong idea?" She seethed. "Did you think it gave you the right to walk all over me? Did you forget I warned you to stay away from Leo?" After leaving the office, a series of texts from Khloe hit my phone. "City Hall tomorrow. I'll be waiting for you. The specialist I hired for your mom arrives tomorrow. After we get her license, we'll go see her together." I laughed, a bitter hollow sound. "Goodbye, Khloe." I took all my luggage and headed to the airport. The next day, Khloe stood outside City Hall, a freshly printed divorce certificate in her hand. The plane began its descent. My destination was Portland, Oregon, a city I'd never been to, but had always dreamed of, a place cradled by green hills and the scent of the sea. There was no Khloe here, no Ethan, none of the suffocating rumors that had choked the life out of me. As the plane broke through the clouds, I suddenly remembered a stormy night 6 years ago. Khloe, drenched to the bone, stood below my apartment window and confessed her love. "Leo, let's work hard together. We'll build a good life. I promise." I turned on my phone. 17 unread messages popped up, the latest from 5 minutes ago. "Leo, I'm at City Hall. When will you be here?" I stared at the screen and laughed out loud. How ironic. 27 days of pleading had earned me a 3-day delay. And now that the time was up, I didn't even have the energy to call out her lies. My thumb hovered over her name in my contacts. 6 years of chat history flashed before my eyes like a film reel. Her rain-soaked confession. The two of us crammed in a tiny studio apartment, sharing a bowl of instant ramen. The way she jumped into my arms, ecstatic after landing our first major contract. The reel stopped on the image of Ethan wearing my pajamas with his arm around her. I've been trapped in the prison of Khloe Vance for 6 years. To finally feel free now. Maybe they were right. Sometimes letting go happens in an instant. "Sir, the exit is this way." A flight attendant's gentle voice pulled me back to reality. All those years building Khloe's company, I had sacrificed everything. My dreams, my dignity. 6 years of waiting, 27 days of begging. All of it meant less to her than Ethan needing help moving. I thought if I just loved her enough, gave enough, I would get a happy ending. But every time, all I got was soul-crushing deception and pain. The love I cherished was just a joke to her, a way to pass the time. She never truly cared. I remember my mother's frail hand clutching my sleeve on her deathbed, her cloudy eyes pleading, "Lo, let me rest easy." Tears dripped onto my phone screen, blurring Khloe's last message. The phone vibrated. It was her again. I declined the call. Then I deleted and blocked her number, her social media, everything. I was severing the 6-year delusion with my own hands. If you choose to leave, you can never look back. Outside City Hall, Khloe stared at her phone, the divorce certificate clutched in her hand. The last message she'd sent was now marked with a glaring red exclamation point. Message sent. Delivery failed. A metallic taste rose in her throat. Khloe, Ethan, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, ran out after her. His hair perfect, his face twisted into a smirk. He's gone. You really expect that loser to come back and beg you? The glass door reflected her bloodshot eyes. The second Ethan's fingers touched her sleeve, she violently shook him off. Khloe spun around, shoving him so hard he stumbled back against a marble pillar. She heard her voice, trembling with suppressed rage. Are you done with your act, you bastard? What did you say? Ethan's pupils contracted 27 times. Khloe laughed, a chilling sound. The sharp edge of the divorce certificate cut into her palm. In the 27 days, Leo begged me to marry him. You had a stomach bug 12 times. Your car broke down 7 times. You had a fight with your family 4 times. And even your damn chihuahua had acute gastritis twice. Ethan, do you really think I'm an idiot? A few young couples waiting to get married nearby sneakily raised their phones. The color drained from Ethan's face. You're the one who agreed to help me deal with my family. Now you're playing the victim. Where was all this devotion when Leo was actually here? Shut up. Khloe slammed her hand on the electronic cueing screen. You knew his mother. The cracked display reflected her distorted face. All the moments she'd purposely ignored came flooding back. The image of me at 3 a.m. hunched over a drafting table. My trembling fingers as I held my mom's test results. The sound of my suitcase wheels rolling across the tile floor the last time we saw each other. Ethan took a half step back, terrified by the look in her eyes, then straightened up. What's with the heartbroken act now when he was begging you to get married? Weren't you the one complaining? Didn't you say he was emotionally blackmailing you with a terminal illness? I told you to shut your goddamn mouth. Her shout sent a flock of pigeons scattering from the window ledge. When security guards rushed in with batons, they saw the famously aloof Ms. Vance, red-eyed and clutching her ex-husband's collar like a cornered lioness. I dragged my suitcase out of the airport, the damp, salty sea breeze hitting my face. I rented an old apartment overlooking the ocean. The landlady was a silver-haired woman who handed me the keys with a warm smile. This place has good energy, son. Everyone who lives here finds their luck turned around. I looked at the faint outline of a crooked sunflower sticker left on the faded wallpaper and thought of my mom, who always kept sunflowers on her windowsill. Sunflowers are the best, she used to say. They always face the light, and even if they fall, they pick themselves right back up. Tears welled up without warning. I quickly turned to wipe them away, only to see the landlady leaning against the door frame, a small pot with a green sunflower sprout in her wrinkled hands. The last tenant left it, she said, placing the pot in my arms. Her smile was full of gentle warmth. I have a feeling it was meant for you. 3 days later, I had an interview at a small independent design studio. I pushed open the glass door of the beachfront office, a portfolio under my arm. The sea breeze rustled the design sketches inside. The woman behind the desk looked up, and her almond-shaped eyes behind black-framed glasses lit up. This series, wasn't this part of the International Emerging Designers Expo 2 years ago? Her fingertip tapped on the very designs Khloe had forced me to withdraw. Her voice was smooth like a polished stone. This was called Captive Burr, right? I froze. I had submitted those sketches in secret while I was helping Khloe start her company. Later, Khloe said the company needed to maintain a low profile and made me pull them. I never thought anyone would remember. Yes, that was me. I clenched my fists. The memory of curling up in the company's supply closet late at night to draw came rushing back. Khloe bursting in, splashing coffee on my draft. Clients want commercial pieces, she sneered. What's the value in these broken feathers? They had immense value. It's just a shame we never saw the rest of the collection, the woman said. She stood up, her long fingers tracing the struggling bird motif on the page. A person who can draw freedom while their own wings are clipped is interesting in his own right. The woman, who introduced herself as Clara Reed, pushed her glasses up, her eyes curved into crescents. I was a judge on that panel. I gave you the highest score. You know, report for work tomorrow. I'll triple your previous salary. The only condition is that you have to finish the Captive Bird series. Deal. Ms. Vance. Mr. Hayes is here again, her assistant Laura said hesitantly from the doorway. Tell him to get lost. Khloe hurled her phone at the floor. The screen spiderwebbed as the sound of Ethan's expensive leather shoes grew closer. Khloe, what's wrong? Did Leo really dump you? He dangled the keys to a new sports car, a mocking smirk on his face. The whole world knows you dropped your new husband for your old flame. Such a tragic love story. You have the nerve to mention his name. Khloe shoved him away with a force that seemed impossible for her size. If you hadn't begged me for a fake marriage, Leo would never have left. Ethan stumbled, but caught his balance, his smirk widening. Who was it that said, Ethan, I'll always be on your side? Who said, we'll get divorced as soon as my family is off my back? Now it's all my fault. He slowly stood up, brushing off his suit. Khloe, you've been using my father's resources to prop up this company for years. Are you really trying to cut me loose now? The glass walls reflected their distorted figures like a grotesque puppet show. Khloe looked at the little brother she had cared for since they were kids and felt a terrifying sense of unfamiliarity. You planned all of this, didn't you? You deliberately timed the marriage for when Leo's mother was dying. You deliberately posted that picture to provoke him. So what if I did? Ethan snapped, his eyes filling with tears. From the day I was 12, and you bandaged my scraped knee, I swear I'd make you see no one but me. What is Leo? Some broke art student who ate ramen with you in a tiny apartment? The company's successful now. Is he even worthy of you? Don't forget, he sneered. That startup capital came from my father. If we really start digging all your dirty little secrets. Slap. The second slap was harder than the first. It split Ethan's lip. The head of accounting, a woman named Sharon, suddenly stood up. Ms. Vance, what was the total on those personal transfers to Mr. Hay last quarter? A tide of whispers swept through the office. I heard Ethan maxed out the company card on a luxury watch last month. The day Leo left, security footage caught Ethan pouring coffee on his computer. No wonder Ms. Vance has been spending so much time with the legal department. Ethan suddenly grabbed a framed photo of Leo from a nearby desk and threw it into the crowd. All of you shut up, you bunch of spineless hypocrites. Weren't you the ones calling Leo a kept man? Don't act so righteous now. You picked up a stapler to throw, but Khloe grabbed his wrist. She stared at the photo of Leo's smiling face at his college graduation, her throat working. You touched his things. So what if I did? Ethan twisted free, stomping on the shattered photo on the floor. This cheap frame should have been thrown out ages ago. Wake up, Khloe. For all you know, Leo is in bed with some other woman right now. This be a low. An entire bucket of dirty mop water drenched Ethan from head to toe. A young man from facilities, Mike, stood there holding the empty bucket, his hands shaking. Mr. Hayes, I've been wanting to do that ever since you killed Leo's cactus. The salty air drifted in through the half-open window. I drew the final line on the design, and when I looked up, Clara was leaning against the door frame, watching me. She held 2 mugs of coffee, her almond eyes crinkling at the corners. The wings in the final version of Captive Bird have 3 more cracks than the original sketch. My hand stilled on the page. The bird's wings were shattered, but still stretched defiantly upward, just like my heart had been that night. I drew it in the supply closet. I took the coffee she offered, the bitter aroma blooming on my tongue. Cracks are the price of escaping the cage. But cracks are also how the light gets in, Clara said, leaning over. Her long fingers skimmed the edge of the drawing. Her sleeve brushed the back of my hand, and the warm touch made me flinch. She chuckled softly and pushed a stack of photos toward me. The client wants to feature the Captive Bird collection at next month's Fashion Week. I was thinking of using real feather embroidery. Are you afraid of birds? I used to be, I said, tracing a photo of a soaring egret. I remember Khloe throwing the little sparrow model I kept on my windowsill into the trash. But now I'm more afraid of being in the cage. Clara's gaze lingered on my fingers for a moment before she turned and pulled a ribbon-tied box from a drawer. Open it. Inside lay a feather brooch. The silver wrap quill was embedded with tiny diamonds that caught the light. I gasped. It was a design from the very sketch Khloe had torn up 2 years ago. Clara had made it real. I found this scrap of paper on the floor after you were forced to withdraw from the expo, she said, her voice as soft as sea fog. Now it's back with its rightful owner. I hope you like it. Late that night, only a single desk lamp lit the studio. I was chewing on the end of my pen, trying to fix a pattern, when I heard a rustle behind me. Clara was walking toward me with a blanket, the chill of the night air still clinging to her. The temperature really drops at night here. If my star designer catches a cold, I can't afford the delay on Captive Bird. I only then realized I was in a thin shirt, but a soft wool blanket was already draped over my shoulders. Clara pulled up a chair and sat down beside me, picking up the much-amended drawing. You're thinking of a gradient blue here to represent the ocean? Yeah, but I can't find the right fabric. I'll take you somewhere tomorrow, she interrupted. Her eyes behind her glasses reflected the warm lamplight. Close your eyes. I did as she said. In the darkness, my sense of smell heightened. A scent of citrus and cedarwood grew closer, and Clara's voice was a whisper by my ear. Hold out your hand. Cool silk slid into my palm. When I opened my eyes, a bolt of gradient blue fabric shimmered under the lamp like moonlit waves. Hand dyed in Italy. There are only 3 bolts like it left in the world, she said, her fingers grazing the edge. Do you dare use it for the opening piece of the show? What if I screw it up? Don't be afraid. If it fails, we fail together. She suddenly took my trembling hand, her warmth seeping through the fabric. Leo, you need to learn to trust that your own wings can create a storm. On the night before the show, I was backstage, pacing anxiously. Clara appeared beside me with a playful smile. I never thought our great talent would get nervous. I blushed and started to stand, but she gently pushed me back down. Don't move, she said, straightening my collar. Relax. We're ready. All that's left is for the models to bring your work to life. She stood in front of me, her subtle perfume calming my frayed nerves. The overhead light flickered, and in the shifting shadows, the mirror reflected our 2 figures, almost touching. Her fingers brushed my hair, lingering for a moment until the announcer's countdown echoed from the main stage. It's time, she said, taking a half step back. She looked at me seriously. Remember, all the applause tonight is for the bird that broke free. At the after-party, I sipped a beer, watching Clara navigate the crowd through the rain-streaked window. In her white suit, she looked flawless, untouchable. When the last guest had left, she suddenly ran out into the downpour and turned, holding out her hand to me. Come on, I want to show you something. Her black Maybach sped through the night and stopped at a cliff overlooking the sea. Like a magician, Clara pulled an iron cage from the trunk. Inside, a dozen white doves fluttered. This is the true finale for Captive Bird, she said, unlatching the door. Moonlight glinted off their wings. Your turn, Mr. Designer. Set them free. I tremblingly stroked a dove's feathers, the force of its wings beating against my palm. As the last bird flew out, Clara suddenly turned and hugged me, her drenched suit cold against my chest. It feels like they're flying for you. Her warm lips brushed my collarbone before she quickly pulled away. Sorry, I think I got carried away. I grabbed her hand as she tried to retreat and kissed the corner of her mouth. The salty sea breeze and the scent of citrus mingled on her lips. She froze for a second, then kissed me back, deepening it with a fierce passion until the sound of the waves swallowed everything else. The financial holes in Khloe's company, intentionally widened by Ethan's revenge, finally collapsed the entire structure. He had tangled corporate accounts with Khloe's personal finances, creating a web of forged transfer records that tightened around her neck like a noose. Overnight, the board of directors turned on her. Media headlines screamed with scandals of her alleged embezzlement. This was you, Khloe stated, kicking open Ethan's office door, her eyes red like a cornered animal. Ethan slowly polished his watch. "Weren't you already suspicious, Miss Vance? Why wait until now to confront me?" He tossed a stack of photos on a desk. There were blurry shots of Khloe going in and out of bars late at night. If these got out, what would happen to your carefully crafted image as the heartbroken victim? Khloe clenched her fists, then let out a cold laugh. "Did you really think I didn't have a backup of the evidence against your father for smuggling?" The air in the office went still. A week later, Ethan's father was arrested for smuggling, and the Hayes family assets were frozen. Khloe's company, ravaged by the audit, declared bankruptcy. The once gleaming office building was sealed, a monument to her ruin. "Khloe, we're even," Ethan said, dragging a suitcase at the airport security line, his face gaunt. She stared at the scar on his wrist, the one he once used to fake a suicide attempt, and scoffed. "Even hell wouldn't want someone as filthy as you." Ethan's eyes widened. He turned and disappeared into the crowd. 3 days later, a news report from a small Southeast Asian country mentioned a yacht explosion. The name on the passport recovered from the wreckage was Ethan Hayes. The rainy season in Portland arrived without warning. I ran into the studio, clutching a stack of designs, and nearly collided with Clara, who was standing in the doorway, holding an umbrella. "Our star designer's punctuality could use some work," she teased, shaking water from the umbrella. Her glasses were fogged over. Suddenly, a hoarse voice cut through the rain. "Leo." Khloe was standing on the street corner, soaked to the bone. Her expensive dress was wrinkled like a rag, and she clutched a faded velvet box. "I came to keep my promise," she said, her hands trembling as she opened the box. The wedding rings inside were dull in the gray light. "You said you have a terrible memory, Ms. Vance," I said with a small, cold laugh, my fingers tracing the cracks on my feather brooch. "The promise attached to those rings was shattered into dust the 27th time you ran to Ethan. You think showing up with a cheap ring can atone for what you did?" Clara stepped forward and linked her arm through mine. "You destroyed 6 years of his life. Are you going to smash what little dignity he has left?" Khloe stumbled backward, but stubbornly held out her hand. "Give me one more chance. I don't want anything else. I just want you." "You have nothing left to offer," I said calmly, cutting her off. "Khloe, your penance couldn't even water the grass on my mother's grave." Clara pulled a silver feather brooch from her pocket, the one she'd made for me. It gleamed coldly in the rain. "Do you recognize this, Miss Vance?" Khloe's pupils shrank. It was the design from the sketch she had torn to pieces. "You tore up a piece of paper," Clara said, pinning the brooch to my collar. "But he grew new wings." "Enough." The last shred of her composure shattered. Khloe pointed a shaking finger at Clara and laughed manically. "You think you've won? Deep down, he's still the same boy who used to make me instant ramen. You just picked up what I threw away." Slap! The force of the blow snapped her head to the side. I shook my stinging hand, a storm finally breaking in my eyes. That was for insulting my mother's dying wish. I slapped her again, a sharp backhand. That was for trampling on 6 years of my life. As my hand rose for a third time, Clara caught my wrist. "Don't dirty your hands." "Get her out of here," Clara said to the 2 security guards who had appeared behind me. They grabbed Khloe and dragged her away. Clara took my arm, her touch warm and firm. "Khloe," I said, turning for one last look at her crumpled figure in the rain. "You are completely and utterly rotten." 3 months later, under the glare of flashing cameras, the final chapter of the Captive Bird collection brought the house down. Shattered wings had been transformed into cloaks of gold leaf. For the finale, thousands of white doves were released, soaring into the sky from behind me. In front of a television in a cheap, mild-Jew apartment, Khloe watched empty liquor bottles piled at her feet. When the news cut to a shot of me placing an engagement ring on Clara's finger, she smashed her bottle, the shards digging deep in her palm. "Congratulations," she toasted to the empty air. Half a bottle of cheap whiskey in her hand, blood mixed with the liquor dripping onto Ethan's death certificate on the floor. "We both got exactly what we deserve." The end.